I just translated my talented high school classmates' new poem from Chinese into English. Birthplace. Whenever I needed to fill in a birthplace form, I always sincerely inscribed Chongqing Obstetrics and Gynecology Hospital. Every time someone pointed out, "You only need to write down Chongqing." Every time I stubbornly shook my head. I knew during those disastrous years, to safeguard the same idol, even family members would kill each other. This city owned numerous weaponry manufacturers. Working class members drove down tanks into the streets, set sail warships upon the Yangtze River, targeted schools with cannons. For one born in a hospital, life was guaranteed from the beginning. How lucky this was, but more people in my time were given birth on narrow, humid hardboards in the darkness, in the range of flying bullets, in the domain of missile explosion coverage. Their first cry could not break through the cotton quilt insulated windows. Even some of them died before their first cry could be delivered to earth. By Yu Yan in 2016. Yu Yan and I are high school classmates. We were both born in Chongqing in February 1967, the beginning of the notorious Cultural Revolution, China's Dark Age. This poem is a depiction of the crazy environment into which we were born. However, my other friends who were teenagers at that time told me what they saw was much worse than the poem depicted. My mom used to recall the armed fighting during the beginning of the Cultural Revolution. She thought that it was supposed to be a civilized debate about how people should run the country. Instead, the losers of the forensic debate resorted to violent repression of each other, because Chairman Mao said, "Power comes from guns." The people treated what he said to be gospel, with the same reverence Westerners accord the words of the Bible. Mom used to complain to me that sometimes she did not even have food to eat for a whole day, while hiding in the bomb shelter to avoid flying bullets and eyeless missiles. However, I, an infant, kept crying in her arms for milk. Now I feel sorry for her and wish I could have been a better infant. The name of my eldest brother is History, given by my mother's father, Clean Life. History is 7 years my senior. He told me a story about the bomb shelter era. One day, when all my family members were hiding in the bomb shelter under the building of the Yangtze Shipping Company, where my father worked, my grandfather became so hungry he had to make some food to eat. Thus, he desperately fled home with my brother History. Since my grandfather did not want to see the flying bullets outside the uncurtained window, he draped the window with a bed sheet. While he was standing on a stool so doing, a bullet broke through the glass window and lodged in the wall. In shock, he fell to the ground, cried out, and sprayed himself with urine. History thought this most funny and laughed at my grandfather. My brother told this story to me when he was 37. I told him it was not funny because my grandfather could have been killed by that bullet. How lucky for history that he was too young to realize fear. Besides the concepts of class struggle and anti-American imperialism, hunger was the most enduring image of my childhood. In 1970, at the age of 3, I remember one morning when my mother slept very late. My father had gone to work and my 2 elder brothers were at school. I ate a steam bun that my father bought for me, gobbled it down fast. Not satisfied, I cruised around the table that held one Nonsan steam bun. That one belonged to my mom. I circled the table again and again, never taking my eyes off the bun. I thought the extra parts of the bun shaped by the steam container's bottom slats should not really belong to the bun. So I tore those segments off and devoured them. Still not satisfied, I walked around my mom's bed and spoke to the air again and again. One bun is so small, not enough. Then I walked back to the table and gazed at my mom's steam bun and thought, if the bun doesn't have the skin, it still can be called a bun. I tore the skin off and ate it. Still, not satisfied. I walked back to my mom's bed, said to her, "You have such a big bun, I don't know how you can eat it all." Mom was surprised, but she did not say a word. Years later, she questioned me, "How can a bun be too small for a small person and too big for a big person?" Then our neighbor, Uncle Song, the police chief, opened the door and asked me why my mom did not get up and cook. He did not see our stove blazing in our common kitchen. I told him that my mom was still sleeping. He came in and put his hand on my mom's head, then suddenly picked her up and carried her away. I became impatient, waiting until my second brother Banyan came home from school. He was 4 years older than me. He was a naughty sibling who caused trouble every day and enjoyed beating me whenever we encountered each other. Banyan came in and immediately grabbed the bun on the table and devoured it. I yelled at him, "That's Mom's bun." He answered, "Mom won't be home soon because she's sick and must have an operation at the hospital." I remember this vividly because I never desired steam buns as much as in that year. Also, later in that year, we acquired an additional room on the 3rd floor instead of sharing one studio without a kitchen nor a toilet. We were a family of 6. My grandfather, parents, 2 elder brothers, and myself shared that studio since my parents' marriage. Such was the norm at that time in our society, and we were not the worst off, because my father was a party secretary of a branch of the Yangtze Shipping Company, the largest company in town, so he could afford to let my mom be a housewife. Thank you.